Welcome to Betting the Breeders' Cup, presented by FanDuel. This race we're going to need lots of help on. It is a competitive field in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Big fans, Dirt Mile to be exact. The morning line odds presented by FanDuel have Cody's Wish as the morning line favorite, 5-2. A really beautiful story there that you will be able to hear on the NBC coverage. Gunite 7-2 for trainer Steve Asmussen, and Laurel River ships in from California at 9-2. So there are a lot of horses to really separate here. Brittany Urton, Nick Luck, handicapper Matt Bernier with the touchscreen. Why don't we start with Cody's Wish? Morning line favorite, obviously an easy horse to root for, but in very good form, having upset the incredibly talented Jackie's Warrior last out.
Yeah, and I don't think ridiculously short either for this race. But if you like that horse, you have to slightly like Pipeline, who you could say
yes,
got
I do like Pipeline.
Yeah, I do a little bit at the prices. Got too involved in perhaps some of the early skirmishes and probably just wants to be eased slightly more circumspectly into the race. And if that happens, I think has a chance. It's a race where I can give a lot of horses a chance.
Right.
I ended up plumping for Cyberknife.
Why?
Because it comes out of a strong group of 3-year-olds this year. The likes of Epicenter and Tabe have been knocking heads with them and has been doing very well. A little bit of a lackluster run in the Pennsylvania Derby, which probably persuaded them to come here rather than to go to the classic distance.
Brad Cox was quoted saying the reason that he chose the Dirt Mile, he said, there's no flight line.
Yeah,
there's some other good horses in there, though.
So he's putting it a bit more prosaically. But I think he's come out of a very classy little bunch of horses, and I think these aren't as good. I'm just playing a class angle.
Matt, my biggest question mark here is the two turns for a lot of these horses. Many of them seem to be one-turn specialists. This is a two-turn Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. So how do you see it?
And that's exactly why I'm going to be against Cody's Wish in this spot, Britt. There is a major difference. I know it sounds obvious, but there's a major difference between a one-turn mile or a 7/8 of a mile going around one bend and a two-turn mile. And Cody's Wish, I think, is much better going around one turn than he is around two. Doesn't mean he won't run well. I just think, given the depth of this field, I don't want a price that's that short on a horse that I don't know that two turns is actually his game. You mentioned Gunite. He's in razor-sharp form for Steve Asmussen's barn. Would not be a surprise at all. But I do wonder, is two turns really his game? You brought up Pipeline. Interesting, especially from a pace standpoint. I could see Pipeline being forwardly placed here for Chad Brown and being a little bit of a threat. I just don't know if he's quite as classy as some of these other runners. And Cyberknife, you'll never hear me speak a bad word of him. He owes me nothing. But I just wonder a little bit. This mile, yeah, it's nice. He can handle it. I think he might be better at 9 furlongs or even the 10 furlong distance of the Classic. This is all to say the horse that I want, there's only one. It's Laurel River. Comes in from West Coast for Bob Baffert. This is a horse that most recently ran in the Pat O'Brien. I know 7/8 of a mile, one turn, dream trip on the inside and scooted clear. The most important piece, Bob Baffert has been high on this horse from day one. And this horse has proven himself going two turns. I'm not terribly concerned about him getting this configuration as I am some of these other shorter prices. So it's all Laurel River for me.
A little surprising, though. Bob Baffert has never won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He's 0 for 10, but has a strong case with Laurel River here. Does that mean, Matt, that you might like Senior Buscador as well? I mean, they're coming out of the same race.
Absolutely. I thought he ran really well in his most recent start at Churchill Downs. Again, those are one-turn races, but Senior Buscador, as a 2-year-old, proved himself going two turns. So if you're looking for a price, maybe a horse that you can use underneath, I think he has every right to get involved. Basically, I'm looking at the Pat O'Brien as a whole, saying it's a good race that also could bode well potentially later on in the sprint for a horse like American Theorem.
All right, so for you, Nick, where would you land then?
I've gone with Cyberknife.
Okay, Cyberknife. Does he owe you anything?
He owes me an awful lot, yeah. He owes me a win in this race for a start.
Matt, going with Laurel River there. Okay, I'm going to lean on Pipeline, actually.
Good.
I find Pipeline really interesting in that race.
That Pipeline would have been my second choice.
I can't tell if it's a good thing if we're all on different horses or a bad thing. Have we figured that out?
That sums up this.
Saturday?
That's this race in a nutshell, though. Yeah. You're going to talk to 10 different people. You get 15 different answers.
All right, well, you make your best decision. Use this analysis as you want. It is the Big Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile coming up as race number 5 from Keeneland. Hey, new FanDuel customers, bet the Breeders' Cup and get up to $100 back. That's right, if your horse doesn't win. This has been more of Betting the Breeders' Cup.